seek him here, they seek him there. His clothes are loud, but never square.
You could wear anything and people would think it was fashion. If you had the confidence enough to pull it off, you could get away with anything. And I thought, in a way, I really liked that because it's kind of anti-art. And I think that anti-art is actually sometimes a lot more artistic than art. Actually, I kind of think the person who ever invented the art is maybe a little bit pretentious.
I'm walking down the street and we just had dedicated follow fashion out. And I was trying to hide and people came up to me and said, "Oh yes he is, oh yes he is." I said, "No, I'm not."
The amount of pressure which someone like Ray Davies was subjected to was quite extraordinary.
I was on television on Top of the Pops, I remember it, they'd taped it. And I tried to put the TV in the gas oven.
I'm not surprised that he's had the difficulties he's had.
You know, to say the least, acting irrationally.
A band was expected to produce 2 albums a year and 4 singles.
I love that sort of pressure when people want you to do something. It's great. You just have to force your way, force the work out. It didn't bother me at all. Obviously it had a side effect, you know, it wasn't too pleasant to live with. And I'm still very difficult to live with when I'm in that mode, because nothing else matters. Focus, total focus. But obviously there was the downside. The downside was that you get ill. Yeah.
It's always having breakdowns, dear. No, you're right. It was like... which breakdown we're talking about?
Ray is the thin line. I mean, they say there's a thin line between insanity and genius. And Ray's right there. He's sitting there on that line.
I think creative people have a lot of problems with what's going on in here, anyway.
I'd just been really ill, and I don't know what was wrong with it. I think in my book I called it overload. It wasn't a nervous breakdown because I don't know, I just didn't know who I was. I was reacting against who people thought I was. So to recover from that, I just sat in a dark room. It was a very hot summer, and this must have been April, May, and I just wanted to write a plodding little song. And if you listen to the chords, they're very therapeutic.
We had this strange conflict in the Kinks. They were very rough working class boys. They were violent, they were crude. All these things very much came through in their stage act and in their personal lives as well.
My girlfriend's run up with my car. I'm gone back to her ma and pa, telling tales of drunkenness and cruelty.
But perhaps because of their management in a sense, as much as anything, as much as the changes in British society that were going on at the time, Ray suddenly became extremely interested in the middle classes.
Help me sail away.
They originally had 2 managers, Robert Waite and Grenville Collins, who were the society duo that had discovered them.
What they were just 2 dandies, 2 city gents.
Live this life of luxury, blazing on a sunny afternoon.
All they knew about was getting gigs and society dues, which was great for Ray because he saw the world from both sides.
Rosie, won't you please come home? Since you joined the alpha process, you don't know us anymore.
Whenever I have an argument with Ray about our background, I always say, you know, at least I remained working class, you became middle class.
It's a new world opens to them. They don't have them playing gigs, they don't have them playing down the marquee. They're playing in debutante parties. They're entertaining Greek millionaires in their homes. It was an incredible upheaval for them personally. And Ray Davies took that and he observed all that and he translated it into song.
adores the girl next door, 'cause he's dying to get at her.
Ray's being the type of personality that found it or learnt how to draw information from people, you know, by observing them and how they would react and how they lived and everything. I think that became his art as a lyricist, I think. But a lot of you know, obviously a lot of the musical input and a lot of the ideas when we met, we meshed together and became other ideas.
Dave's influence on the Kinks is quite fun in a way, because it's a sense of gradual erosion there. I mean, he starts off being the leader of the Kinks.
Wonder where my baby's gone. Hope she'll do no wrong. Looking for my baby.
He used to sing quite a lot of the songs when they first started, and Ray wasn't singing at all, hardly anything. And then, of course, once he started writing, he started singing more, his confidence was up, and he effectively took over the group.
I always like to feel that 80–90% of it's collaborative musical effort. Most of the songs that we've worked on together, although they would be Ray Davies compositions. You know,
Doesn't that annoy you though?
yeah, it does.
Dave was very young. He was having a great time with the girls and everything on it else that was going on. You know, I mean, you could see it. I mean, he was living it, loving it.
I like to be extravagant, flamboyant and all that kind of stuff. Whenever my manager bought me a sword to go in my thigh-length boots.
One of the Three Musketeers. That was a stupid thing to do, buy him a sword. I think someone nearly got killed with it in the party. But,
I mean, you had the sibling rivalry there on the one hand between Dave and Ray, which remains to this day, and that was tricky. But on the other hand, you had this conflict between the brothers and Mick Avery.
as close to them as anyone could be without being in the family, as it were. So it's probably affected me more than other people, because I was that much closer. And they treat you as if, because you're so familiar, they treat you like they treat each other.
And that possibly brought out the worst in them. I mean, it certainly brought out the worst in Dave. There were fights. I mean, you had fights in hotels, blood was spilled.
Most of their best work was done straight after the elastoplast had been applied in the studio, because there'd been a huge physical row about the music.
What started off as probably quite fun developed a darker side.
It was volatile, to say the least. I mean, the only thing is, how many hours sleep a night do you want? Because if you're getting calls at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, that there's been a fight on stage in Cardiff.
They get on stage at Cardiff. The first thing Dave does in the opening number, he starts having a go at Mick.
Whereas I probably got through the gig under a strained atmosphere, Dave wasn't ready for that.
Then he actually kicks his drum kit over in front of the whole theatre. They think it's part of the stage act. Everybody claps and thinks, great laugh, good theatrical stunt. Then Mick emerges from his dishevelled drum kit.
And that's when I hit him with the hi-hat pedal, as he kicked him with drums all over the place. There wasn't anything else to hit him with.
Floors him. Dave's out on the floor. Mick thinks he's killed him, runs out of the theatre, mobbed by fans, and he's running down the streets of Cardiff trying to get away, because he thinks he's actually killed another member of the Kinks.
And I took fright, and I was scared, sort of killed him. Ran out of the building and settled in a cafe down the road, crying.
And he's being hunted for attempted murder, so therefore I'm thinking about getting hold of him. I'm thinking about the publicity, trying to kill that off.
They somehow have to salvage that. And everybody at the time that knew about it said, this is the end. It's the end of the Kinks. But it wasn't the end of the Kinks. And after that, they go on an American tour. A recipe for disaster, or what?